Welcome to the Freshman Podcast. It's your boy Josh, also known as Jay Fresh. To my left we have Ye, also known as Yeski. Episode 9, Is This Your Champion? So we're going to get right to it today, guys. We had a slew of Martin Luther King Day games. So we're going to start with one of the annual games in a sense. Memphis tends to play every Martin Luther King Day. They went up against Ye's Phoenix Suns. It was a close game for the most part. Memphis wound up coming out victorious, 108-104. Ja Morant has returned from a ankle injury, I want to say it was. So this is maybe his second or third game back. So it was nice to see him out on the court. DeAndre Ayton impressed as well for the Suns. Huge double-double. 18 points and 16 rebounds. You know, we're usually used to guys getting maybe 20 and 10, but for him to have 18 and 16, that was pretty nice outing for him.
Yeah, it was Josh's second game back off his ankle injury. But, I mean, he had an impressive game for him to be coming back off that ankle injury. I'm not going to lie, it looked pretty scary. But Phoenix, I feel like Chris Paul is facilitating more than he should. I feel like he could pick up the scoring a little bit more. Like, we know what you do. You're a playmaker. You can pass, you assist. But it's like, I feel like he could do a little bit more scoring like how he was in OKC with him and Shea. I feel like he feels like he should just pass since he got Aiden to throw it to. You got Book on the wing or wherever you want Book at. He's going to score the ball. So, but I feel like we've seen Chris Paul in clutch moments in big time, making big plays as far as scoring. I feel like he can score a little bit more. I'm not saying he got average 20 a night, but anywhere between 15 to 18 could help them out a lot more.
I think he's been, like you said, passive in his role, which is kind of odd because in Oklahoma City, as you mentioned, they had SGA and they also had Dennis Schroeder. So he should be used to playing with two other guys that are scorers in a sense. So, I mean, they were able to make that work. I don't see why they won't be able to make it work with him, Book, and Aiden. So, we'll see. But, I mean, the season is still young. I mean, I don't think they played no more than, I want to say 15 or 16 games at the moment. So, still under 20 games in the season. So, the season's still young. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes.
I still feel they're gonna make the playoffs. I'm still going down that route. They're gonna make it.
All right. Yeah, I still believe the Warriors are gonna make it.
All right.
But let's just move on. We're not gonna backtrack. One of the second highlights of the MLK Day games, we had my Brooklyn Nets versus Ye's Milwaukee Bucks. As you guys can see, it's a trend. Ye is all NBA. He has 4 teams in the East, 4 teams in the West. It's no end. But it was a nice showdown. Still no show from Kyrie. MIA, off the grid, still. But basically we had a 2-on-2 matchup. We had the Bucks with Giannis and Chris Middleton, and we had the Nets with KD and James Harden. So
Chris Middleton.
I know it's the sub coming.
Why? Just why? I'm gonna just replay the last minute and 30 seconds of the game. The Bucks came down every single play, ran a pick and roll action with Middleton and Giannis. Middleton ended up with a wide open mid-range pull-up every time with DeAndre Jordan backtracking. They did that for a minute straight. So from a minute and 30 to 30 seconds left in the game, they ran that play. Scored every single play. Middleton either going to the rim and finishing, mid-range jump shot. You get the ball, 30 seconds left, 35 seconds left, and you take a contested 3. Why not run the same play that's been successful for you? Who you thought you was? What you thought you was doing?
So is that more so on him or the coach? I agree with you. Don't fix it.
It's a little bit of broke. I'm not gonna lie to you because that's horrible coaching from a 2-time coach of the year. It's horrible coaching because you ran that play back to back to back and it was successful. Why? You feel me? It was like you said, it was broke. You know what I'm saying? It's not broke. Just keep running it. And that's another thing as a coach and an NBA player. As a coach, yes, you should have drew that up to do it again. But as a player, with a high IQ, especially with players being in the NBA, it's just something should kind of click that be like, you know what, this is what's successful. Let me go ahead and do it again. Forget what the coach said. This is what just helped us get back in this game because they was down. This is what helped us get back in the game and keep it where it was. Why not run it again? Make it, you know. But
I think
KD
also
made his shot. And,
we gonna get there. Hold on. Let's address the Bucks side of it though. But what I think about though in the NBA, those are the best of the best. So eventually somebody's gonna catch on. I don't know if you should really run a play 5 to 6 times in a row, even though you did have success. Maybe that 7th time, DeAndre Jordan's gonna step up instead of playing that drop coverage off the pick and roll. But who knows? But I think he definitely kept you guys in the game late with those timely buckets. It was like he just couldn't miss until he did take that 3. But I mean, for the most part, he was unstoppable in that pick and roll. So I had to give him props for that. I know you don't consider him a real all-star, but you know, at the end of the day, he was going up against that man, and we know what that man does. We know how he's coming. I keep telling y'all, he's like. I'm gonna say he's like at 85% now. I know last week I said he was like at 80%. He's like at 85 now. But Harden comes down court, you know, late in the game. He tries to find his own shot, you know, 3-pointer off the mark. Somehow trails down his own rebound, kicks to KD, ices the game with a 3-pointer. I mean, the Bucks still had a chance to get a shot. I think everybody, including everyone in the building and everybody at home, watch kind of knew the ball was going to go to Middleton because he had the high hand for the Bucks at that moment. So, I mean, it came down to a step back, contested 3-pointer by 2 nets and off the mark. So, I mean,
Giannis, I'm on you too. I seen the last possession of the game.
He was
I'm
at
on
half
you too.
court.
You let Harden get
half court
that
game.
rebound. No.
Half court.
He let Harden get that rebound.
Oh, you said when they were on. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He jumped to contest Harden's shot and just looked at the ball just bounce off the rim.
He probably
and
thought
Harden chased that mug down.
He probably thought Harden cashed him. Was like, ain't nothing to do about it. But
I'm on your ass too.
You need to be on his ass about offense as well, because he was at half court when Middleton was getting double team in the corner. But all in all, though, it was a great game. Just going to give you guys a couple of the major stat lines from the game. KD, 30 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Near double-double. I'm not going to say near triple-double. Those 4 assists probably would have been tough. I'm sure he could have got another rebound. James Harden, in his, I want to say it was his 2nd or 3rd game? Third game. A double-double. You know, he already put up a triple-double. Now he put up a double-double, 34 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds. So another good showing for him. I still think at times he needs to work on his shot selection, but I appreciate how after he did miss a shot, he kicked it to the man. So salute to you for that. And then on the other side of the ball, the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis chipped in a double-double, 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. So a normal night for him. Chris Middleton, 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Nice outing for him as well. Like we said, in the pick and roll, the man was unstoppable. It's just at the end of the game, you know, it's like they say, it's a make or miss league. So that's essentially what it came down to.
Shout out to Drew, man. Shout out to Drew for being consistent the whole year. I appreciate that, man. He been doing this thing, 18, 20 a game. Shout out to Drew.
Y'all gonna need more than that to beat the Nets. But moving on, let's go to the nightcap. Man, the nightcap, you know, what a game. We had the LA Lakers versus the Golden State Warriors.
This is your king.
If I was a betting man, I would have picked the Lakers in this game, and I would have been sadly mistaken. Final score of this game was LA 113, Golden State 115. This game was basically a tale of two halves. First quarter, the Lakers just had it their way. Like, they couldn't be stopped. Big shout out to Dennis Schroeder. The man couldn't miss. Jump shots, layups. It was just it was easy. Couldn't be stopped. So in the first quarter, Dennis Schroeder couldn't be stopped, as we said. He had 14 points of his 25 for the whole game in that first quarter alone. It was looking really bad for the Warriors. They couldn't hit a shot, and they couldn't stop the Lakers from scoring. So, yeah. They wound up in the first half 64-48, Lakers lead. Second half was a different story. It's like the Warriors decided to hit a switch. Steph was hitting shots. Draymond was setting up the offense. Kelly Oubre was hitting threes. And it's been a rough season for that man. A rough season.
Nick.
They had a statistic posted that basically, because of his 3-point percentage, is like, if they took out his 3-point percentage, the Warriors would have been like top 10 in 3-point percentage. But because how bad he's been shooting, they were like in the lower like 20 or 25 range. But yeah, so glad to see he showed up. Draymond was being Draymond, facilitating, talking trash, being a coach on the floor. I know a lot of people don't consider him to be a really good player, but I think you need guys like that it may not show up on a stat sheet, but the impact on the game is so much bigger than that.
Role players, yeah.
Yeah. I just don't think that in the second half the Lakers were too invested in the game. They kind of took their foot off the gas, and it was just like, oh, whatever. It's like the Warriors, and they let them stick around. They just kept chipping away at the lead. Next thing you know, night LA.
Yeah, they was horrible on defense the first half. Like, they were switching out bigs on Dennis Schroeder like every possession. And he was just blowing by.
Mm-hmm.
Layup after layup after layup after layup. And shout out to Kelly Oubre for hitting a three. That's what they need. I'm not going to lie, that's exactly what they need if they're going to help him out as much as possible. So, I see Steph was playing 2K all week because that nigga Curry slided AD into the free throw line. Nigga looked like he was out there playing my park on that nigga. Nigga Curry slide. It was a tough field goal shooting day from him. But at the end of the day, when they needed him the most, to have step up and hit the shot, and he hit it. I mean, it's what we used to seeing from him. All in all, the Warriors just stayed in there and kept fighting. I think that's just I don't know what it is nowadays. I just feel like most of these top teams, like when they see somebody, that they feel like is lesser than them or lower than them, that they just start off nice and then just want to take time off from the game. Like, we still got 3 quarters left or 2 quarters left. Sometimes even 1 quarter left. As a top tier team, you keeping your foot on their neck can just prove some sense of dominance. Like, it'll make somebody not want to play you. But if you up 20 a whole game, they come back and beat you, the rest of the league looking like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You can't leave that door open.
You can't just leave that window, that door open, especially if you're a championship contending team or supposed to be. You're supposed to show that dominance. They are the defending champs technically, you know what I'm saying? So you're supposed to show that dominance and take over. But, shout out to the Warriors for just not quitting and coming back.
Hey, man, I told you. The Warriors are going to be a team that you aren't going to want to see in the playoffs. It's hard for me to bet against Steph. I know Clay is out, but, hey, man, money on the line. He seems to come through. And, it's prime time. Martin Luther King Day, everybody. Well, I'm not going to say everybody, but most people are off. So, all eyes are on TNT, ESPN all day watching the NBA. Steph put up 26 points, 7 assists. Oubre chipped in 23. And I'm gonna give a slight shout out to Draymond Green because he did hit the go-ahead bucket layup to put them up, which essentially led to the win. The Lakers still did have a chance to win the game. LeBron tried to hit a go-ahead 3 and he missed. It was contested by Draymond, so Draymond played a big role for closing out that game on both ends essentially.
Shout out to the power forward playmakers out here in the world.
Yeah, you Draymond. But anyway. LeBron had 19 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. And as we mentioned before, Schroeder was the leading scorer with 25 points, 14 in the first half, 3 assists and 5 rebounds. So, moral of the story, if you up, put your foot on your neck and close the game out. If not, you wind up taking an L. So,
encourage slide it.
Yeah. Moving on, we had moving on to some action later on in the week. Back to my Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if I should be happy or disappointed. It was a bittersweet day. We saw Kyrie Irving return to the court versus his old team. They even gave him a little tribute, you know. I think that's where the happiness ended for me on that day. It was tough. I'm gonna let you take it away, Ye.
Oh, man. For a contender, for a championship, to lose to Colin Sexton. No disrespect to Colin Sexton. Great young player. See that he's coming into his own. 40, and I mean 42, 20 in overtime.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I actually do like Colin Sexton. So
it was
nice to see you out there.
20 in overtime, like that's ridiculous, and that's a coaching and a player thing. You see one person single-handedly ISOing and destroying KD, Kyrie, Harden. Oh yeah, KD got him one too.
So don't say destroy. Don't say destroy. And he got one shot off. Relax.
It was just like at that point he's feeling it. You can tell. It's like either get the ball out of his hands. What are you doing? And KD's their best defender. The Nets are not a defending team. Kyrie can't guard a soul.
Yeah.
Harden can't guard a soul. So therefore, put a defender on him. Get the ball out of his hands. Double team him. See if somebody else can make a shot. See if he can make a play. Maybe at that moment when he's feeling himself, he's just thinking about scoring. He don't want to pass the ball, so it could be a potential turnover. To me, it was horrible. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I'm gonna go ahead, cop some pleas, and give out some passes. This is the first time with them playing together, with Harden, KD, and Kyrie all playing together. Also, this was a revenge game for the new Cleveland Cavaliers. Jared Allen caught a poster. I think. Did he catch two?
He got two.
Oh, he caught two posters. I'm sorry.
One of them was alive and one was on the road.
Yeah, he caught Harden, and I think he caught
Joe Harris.
Yeah, so it was a revenge game for them. Like, y'all traded me, blah blah. So I kind of expect them to have that energy for that game. They were going to wake up for that game. But all in all, even though it did go to 2 overtimes, Nets, it's the Cavs. You gotta take care of business, like seriously. I was happy to see Kyrie is still in form. 37 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Even with that being their first game all together, that was still a nice outing for him. KD wasn't a slouch either. He had a double-double. 38 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. I'm really liking to see KD is starting to come into that more of that playmaking role. These assists are continuing. They're not exactly double digit, but they're upper single digit. 8 here, 7 there, 9. So I'm happy to start seeing that from him. We know he's gonna get you the buckets, but I think for him he's gonna draw so much attention on offense. Guys are gonna get wide open looks like Harris, Harden at that whoever's spotting up while he's going to work. And Harden had a fairly decent game as well. I think he still needs to get in shape. It looks like he was going to die in that overtime. The man was slouched over, but he did manage to give another triple-double for the Nets. 21 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds. So, I mean, all in all, the big three did have a nice stat line, but it was just like you said, they couldn't stop anything. They couldn't stop anything. But I'm also liking the chemistry Harden is developing with DeAndre Jordan. That pick and roll live is giving me flashbacks of Live City in LA with Chris Paul and DeAndre. So I'm glad to see that. And on the other side, Colin Sexton had a ball day. I mean, the man was just hot. 42 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. I have to salute him on that. He accepted the challenge. You facing a big three like that, and if the Cavs had got blown out this game, nobody would have batted an eye. And he said, no, I can't even hoop.
He's having a very consistent year for the Cavs. He's been playing very consistent. It's just good to see him coming to his own like that. It seems like Kyrie said he's not taking no back row for nobody at this point. I mean, I feel like Harden was going to be the playmaker out of the team anyway. I mean, people may not want to hear this, but, I mean, Harden's a better playmaker than Kyrie.
Oh, yeah. So, I think he's a better player overall. So, I mean, I'm not mad at that.
So, I see Kyrie just, having his scoring role. But eventually it's going to have to come to a point where they're just going to have to decide on them three what's going to happen here. Because it's not too many times that you can have Kyrie scoring 40, KD going off for 30, and Harden 12, 15.
Well, I mean, overall, it wasn't a bad game, but we're seeing it now. Harden is definitely accepting the playmaking role, and that's kind of what I wanted anyway. I wanted Harden to be your facilitator, set up the offense stuff, and Kyrie just be in attack mode. Kyrie, go get a bucket, and that's fine with me. I think Harden's kind of accepting that because he does want a championship. So, could Harden go out and get 30 every night? Of course he could, but getting 20 points, 10 assists, and some rebounds to get a triple-double, I mean, it wasn't the winning formula for this case, but 9 times out of 10, I think it's going to be a winning formula if Harden's putting up a triple-double like that. KD's getting you 30-something, and Kyrie's getting you 30-something. I would think that they will win the game, But it's not so much offense, it's that the defensive side is which is going to be ultimately I think the deal breaker, whether or not this Brooklyn team is going to be a championship caliber team or not. So
Cavs in 4, 0-2 in the week versus the Cavs. Brooklyn.
It's really sad, but you know what? They showed up both games. I will say that the Friday game, no, KD didn't play. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But Cavs, 2 games. I salute. But let's move on to your Bucks. Man, it's been a rough week for the Bucks, man. So we had another blockbuster showdown. We had the LA Lakers going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. 2 of the favorites from last season. The Lakers had the best record in the West, and the Bucks had the best record in the East. So let's get right to it. Would you like to start, or do you want me to start?
You go ahead.
Okay,
so you go ahead.
Had a showdown in Milwaukee. It was a nice game from LeBron. He put up 34, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. But the person that stole the show for the Lakers has to be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The man was 7 for 10 for the 3-point line with 23 points for the game. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I know they traded away Danny Green in the offseason to the Sixers, but Caldwell-Pope wasn't shooting like this in the bubble, before the bubble. For him, he had a hell of a night. So hat off to him for that. Giannis posted a double-double. He had 25 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and pretty big game from a new addition for the Bucks, Jrue Holiday. 22 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. So a nice outing for him. So I'll let you take it away, yeah.
I'm tired of losing to, I don't want to say this, bums, okay? Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Oh, the Lakers are bums?
No.
We gotta put this on wax.
I'm not talking about the team. I'm not talking about the Lakers. I'm talking about KCP. He didn't shoot like this in the bubble. He hasn't shot like this all year. Want to play the Bucks. Now all of a sudden, 7 for 10. I mean, I understand losing to LeBron with 34, 80. If he was to give us 50, 40, that's cool. But it becomes a point in time where it's like, all right, he done hit 2 already. Go guard him. Just go guard him. Just put a hand up, something. Stop giving them open shots. Like at that point, because I mean, it's an NBA. It's the NBA. You know, it's hit or miss. for certain players. So therefore, you get a couple players that see 1 or 2 go through the rim. It's like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and hit the next 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Now he's 7 for 10. You know what I'm saying?
I thought that was Duncan Robinson, a prime JJ Redick out there where he was coming off.
And Giannis, like I said, 6 turnovers. No, can't happen.
Is this your MVP?
This is the MVP. 6 turnovers, it just can't happen. It wasn't a great game for us at all. I don't care what LeBron says in his comments saying that he don't care about the rivalry between him and Giannis or whatever the case may be. But we all know hooping. You know what I'm saying? You got a person that they keep on calling the MVP saying that he's better than you and he's this and he's that. You're going to come in the game and you're going to try to show out. You're going to try to show out. Like
we seen it early in the week, you know. KD got a little chippy with Giannis, you know. Pushed him down a couple times, you know.
And sad to say this, I feel like that's what the league needs. I feel like, shoot, that's what Giannis needs. Push him. Hit him. Something. Do something to get this man engine going because we need him. I need him. I ain't gonna lie. I need him so we can get out of this Eastern Conference.
Speak for yourself.
I need him so we can get out of this Eastern Conference.
For yourself.
You feel me? So I need somebody to go at his head. I mean, I feel like that's what the league needs in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just the top stars just going at each other. Like I would get tired of somebody being like, "Oh, this is the MVP," or he's better than me, and this, that, and the third. Like, hey, hold on. I've been doing this for a while. Like, LeBron been doing this for how many seasons? 18 seasons? I've been doing this for a while. So, hold on, young blood. You know what I'm saying? So, but they got us. Again.
You gotta give a shout out to LeBron. Even though the Lakers were up, he hit a closeout 3 to kind of put the dagger in the coffin for that game. You know, he did miss the go-ahead 3 versus the Warriors. So, I mean, like I said, it wasn't necessarily the same scenario, but to see he wasn't hesitant to take the 3 to ice the game, salute to him for that. Final score, LA 113, Milwaukee 106. So, essentially 2 big losses for the Bucks. Yay. Also known as Yayski. Will the Bucks ever recover?
So there's a lot of deflections going on. So a lot of deflections. Look, I would rather us, you know, get this out of our system, lose to these top tier contending teams, everybody says is going to be in the championship, or people that you're going to see in the future. You know what I'm saying? Get this out of the way. You know, 2 L's, I'll take them. They was against championship contending teams. So, I mean, Cavs, I don't know what to say about that, but shout out to the Cavs for exposing the Nets.
This was not about the Nets, but okay.
Okay, are you right?
Now that's what you call deflection. Well, we're gonna move along. We're not gonna backtrack. Let's move along. And another blockbuster game we had was the Utah Jazz versus the New Orleans Pelicans. I think I'm pretty high on both Donovan Mitchell and Brandon Ingram. So to see these guys go back and forth, pretty nice to see. Who thought the Jazz would have the second best record, even though it's still early in the season? Who thought the Jazz would have the second best record in the Western Conference, and essentially on a 7-game win streak? Like I didn't see it coming. Like I say, I'm big on Donovan Mitchell, but I didn't see this. I always consider Utah to be like a middle of the pack type of team, 4, 5, 6 seed. But number 2, I gotta salute them for that. Donovan Mitchell went crazy. 36 points, 6 from 8 from a 3-point line. We saw flashes in the bows between him and Jamal Murray that he can put up big numbers. He can fill it up. All 3 levels. He can get to the rim and finish, mid-range, 3-pointers. That's a highly efficient shooting night from the 3. 6 for 8. So I have to salute him on that.
They are playing very consistent this year, and I'm going to give you one reason why. Mike Conley.
Donovan Mitchell? It's
sad.
No. Give my man his
Don't
props.
get me wrong. Here's the thing. This is why I say Mike Conley. We already know what Donovan Mitchell did last season with them, with Mike Conley struggling all year. We've seen what Donovan Mitchell did in the bubble. So, therefore, I'm not worried about Donovan Mitchell. I'm not worried about him. You already know he's going to give you his 25 to 30 a game. He proved it last season. He proved it in the bubble. He has nothing to really prove no more as far as his stat line. Mike Conley had a horrible season last year. Horrible bubble. This year he's averaging 16.4 points a game with 6 assists a game. Something that he was not doing last season at all. And that's your starting point guard.
Yeah.
That takes the pressure away from Donovan Mitchell having to be a playmaker when you have your playmaker in the backcourt with you. So now, all Donovan Mitchell has to do, put the ball in the hole. Of course, make a couple playmaking, because he's going to have the ball in his hand, but put the ball in the hole. More essentially, in a way, Devin Booker with CP3. Devin Booker, all you got to do is worry about putting the ball in the hole. CP3 going to get you the ball. So Conley has had a very consistent season. That's one of my takes from Utah. I already know what I'm getting out of Gobert. I already know what I'm getting out of Mitch. With a little bit of Ingles. You know what Ingles going to do. So Conley, to me, was that factor that was, okay, if he plays bad, now we ain't got to worry about him. But now you kind of have to worry about him. It's looking like more or less Memphis Mike Conley, so to speak.
So I just want to know, on prior podcasts, you didn't have the highest approval of Donovan Mitchell.
Did not.
Are you walking that back?
I am going to walk that one back.
You know what?
I'm going to walk it back.
Hey, 2021, I appreciate you being honest.
I'm going to walk
Honesty
it back.
has been a real improvement for you this year. I appreciate that, man.
I'm going to walk that back. He has had a very good year. Last year, I know for a fact that I really wasn't too high on him being consistent because he hadn't had the best with consistency. But this year, he has shown, even though it's early in the season, that he can keep it going.
Yeah.
So I am going to walk that one back. Mitch, if you ever see this, I apologize.
Hey, Donovan, I've been a day one. Salute, big dog. But overall, it was a good game. Utah 129, New Orleans 118. Also, going to shout out Zion Williamson. He had a pretty efficient game as well. It's like we all know what he's going to do, and he still gets to his spots, and he's still able to get those buckets. 27 points, 9 of 14 from the field. And also, a highlight for him, 8 for 10 from the free throw line. That's big, because we know he's going to get fouled. Essentially, a lot of teams are going to hack and shack him. Being able to hit your free throws, that goes a long way.
I think they pissed him off during that week because I seen a report that said that he lost his like a little bit of his athleticism or his explosion.
Yeah.
The man that took off on a couple of people right after that. So, but New Orleans, they got the talent. They just young. They got the talent. They just need to figure out how to implement with these.
I think like you said, they're young and they got to define their roles. Who's gonna be the man? Who's our scorer? What type of offense are we running? You know, it's like
JJ, shoot the ball, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can you stop eliminating fan bases?
Okay, I'm sorry.
JJ, you got a podcast.
You have a great podcast.
You see
by the
this?
way.
You know, invite us on. Maybe not him. Invite me. I don't have no problem with you. You keep doing your thing. I don't have no problems with you. And just to wrap it all up, guys, we're going to talk about some of the standings. Let's keep it in the West. As we mentioned, we were surprised to see that the Jazz are the second seed, but let's give you guys an overall big picture of where we're standing of the standings right now. We have Lakers at the 1 seed. We have the Jazz at the 2 seed, which is a shocker. Clippers 3 seed. Trailblazers 4 seed. Nuggets at the 5 seed. We have the Grizzlies. Shout out to John Morant with the 6 seed. We have Ye's Suns at the 7th seed. And at the 8th seed, we have a 3-way tie. The Warriors, the Mavs, and the Spurs all have the same record. I foreshadow the Warriors getting. I'm gonna say they're gonna wind up being higher than the 8th seed. So I see them being moving up the ranks, but that's what we're looking at for the West right now. Any surprise to you on those standings yet?
Spurs. Spurs is probably my biggest surprise. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I believe they're trash. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Them, they just got a lot of stuff going on. People getting older and injuries and stuff. I mean, Pop is just a great coach, but I feel like the Spurs and definitely the Jazz being the number two.
Yeah, but coaching plays a big role in the game. Like you said, Pop's been around for a while. He's a great coach, so I mean, X's and O's, he's one of the best when it comes to it. So I always kind of feel that the Spurs are gonna kind of make the playoffs some shape or form. If it's the 8th seed, 7th seed, I don't see them being top 3 for a while. But I mean, I always think there's room for them to wiggle in. He's always gonna figure out some type of way. But I think the biggest surprise for me will be the Trailblazers with the 4th seed. I mean, I know everybody's kind of high on Damian Lillard, but CJ's went down with some injuries, and it's like outside of him, it's not really much there. Anthony Simmons hasn't really stepped up into that role that we thought he would be by now. Basically like it's Dame time essentially.
I'm a cop a plea. He was hurt at the beginning of the year, so I'm gonna cop that plea. But he hasn't really stepped up. But they got Melo coming off the bench, so yeah, them being a 4 seed.
Yeah, I figured they would make the playoffs, but I didn't think they would be a top 4 seed. I figured they would be on the lower tier of the West, but shout out to them for being that high. I know it's still early in the season, so we'll see. They may crack the top 3, so we'll see. But let's go ahead and get to the East, Jay.
So we got the Sixers, number 1. I'm going to just give all my takes later because Bucks, number 2. Pacers, number 3. Celtics, number 4. Nets, 5th. Cavs, 6th. Hawks, 7th. And 8th, the Knicks. I'm going to just ask you right now, what are you... what is your take on these Eastern Conference standings right now?
I'm going to say they are a little surprised. Obviously, the Knicks are the 8th seed. I know it's still early. I figured the Bulls would make the playoffs before the Knicks. But, I mean, it's still early, so who knows. But one thing I will say, I'm still high on the Brooklyn Nets, of course. But as we learned from last season, even though it may not be in a bubble setting this year, standings do not mean anything. We've seen were the Heat the 4th or 5th seed? I want to say they were the 5th seed. We've seen a 5th seed make it to the finals. Yes, it was different circumstances with the bubble and everything, but I think all in all, the best thing for any team, not just the Nets, is to hit your stride going into the playoffs. That's the number one thing. As long as you got a playoff spot secured, no matter who you're playing, if you hit that stride, that's all it takes. So that's where I'm at with it.
Shout out to Joel Embiid. I'm still not walking this statement back until he proves this for the rest of the year and going into the playoffs. But so far, he has had a MVP caliber type season for the Sixers. Like I said, he showed his flashes. 30 here, 0 there, next time 40. But this year has been very consistent for him, and I'm liking to see that. I just got to see more. My biggest thing is the Cavs and the Knicks and the Hawks, because the Hawks I thought was going to be a little bit more better than this. But Trey has had a rough season, but the Knicks though, like Julius Randle really out here giving y'all 20-30 a night.
He tired of the haters.
What is going on, bro? He is really out here doing that to y'all.
Y'all didn't want him on the Lake Show, but he getting buckets with the Knicks.
Like the most miscombobulated organization over the past 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Is in the AFC. Granted, it's very early in the season, but they got 17 point guards.
Yeah.
12 shooting guards. They like all over the place, and they make the A seed. So, and the Bulls. Never mind. We're not gonna.
Yo, Bulls again. Yeah, is all NBA guys.
Look.
So you gotta deal with him.
I'm from Chicago, so
you gotta deal with him.
But I feel sorry for that. But all in all, same thing. I mean, we already know the top tier teams is gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks, Nets, Celtics, Sixers.
Yeah.
Pacers have proven that they can be very consistent for for the last 3 or 4 years.
Shout out to Sabonis, man. He keeps holding it down, getting buckets the old-fashioned way, down and dirty.
So we know that they're going to be there too, but it's just the rest of the East that are fighting. So
now we mentioned it was still early. Now I will say this: I'm not sure about the Knicks making the playoffs, but I foresee. Oh, I forgot. We're doing it's the 10-game little playing thing this year. So I was gonna say
that's right.
I see the Heat get one of those top 8 seeds.
That's
So
right.
I mean the Knicks might be able to get a top 10 seed. So I mean it's a possibility for them to get a play-in game. But I think once we start getting towards the end of the season, the Heat are dealing with a lot of injuries. Jimmy Butler's missing games. Tyler Hero's missing games. Avery Bradley. The list goes on and on. So I think those guys may not be like a top 4 seed, but I see them sneaking into the playoffs. And
I forgot completely about them just
Yeah.
because I haven't watched none of their games just because everybody been hurt. Everybody been out for them. I completely forgot about them. Hopefully, all those injuries won't lead towards the end of the season where they won't be making it. But it would be nice for 1 through the 6 seed being tough teams.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, I would like to see that and make the playoffs a lot more interesting. But as of right now, if the playoffs started, the Knicks has made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Julius Randle. Shout out, you know what? Shout out to Julius Randle. Having a very good year this year. It's wild. It's a very wild year for him because he's just all over the place. He's doing everything. He's doing everything he can.
I got to shout him out and shout out to Austin Rivers. I think both of those guys kind of bet on themselves. Going to an organization like the Knicks, bottom of the bottom, and saying we can make something happen. So I have to salute you guys on that. Like I said, with it being 10 seeds now, since we're making it with the whole play-in game thing, you guys may have a chance to make the playoffs. But right now, I got to give you guys credit, man. Keep doing what you're doing out there.
Yeah, y'all having a nice season, man. I appreciate it. The Knicks finally have something to look forward to, I guess, in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
We will see. But, therefore, my Kings are still the Milwaukee Bucks.
All right, we're going to end this before he lists off any more teams. He just likes all 32 teams, okay? No loyalty. You hate to see it. But we appreciate you guys tuning into another episode of the Freshman Podcast. Like I said before, we're going to be dropping more consistently. Look for us to drop every Tuesday at noon. And we're out.